Thank you all for joining us for the What's Your Money Personality? It Makes More of a Difference Than You Would Think workshop. Joining us today is Lisa Chastain, money coach and best-selling author. She will be discussing your unique money personality and how you can make wise financial decisions based on who you were born to be. So I'm going to hand it over to her to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nevena. Thank you, everyone. I am so grateful to be here. And as introduced, I'm Lisa Chastain. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get started with a very short quiz. So this presentation tonight is designed to be somewhat interactive. The more you share, the more we all benefit. And of course, to your level of comfort, no pressure. This is the quiz. I'm going to ask that you spend a few minutes and read the question. So tonight's presentation is to be on the lighter side of money. Not knowing anything about you, what I know about money, having been in the money industry for the past 6 years, is that money can be pretty challenging, it can be scary, it can be stressful, it can be many things. And tonight, what I'd like for you to do is just have an opportunity to take a look within and figure out where you are in the spectrum of money personalities and think about others in your lives. Little background for me is I was a UNLV grad. I am a UNLV grad. I got my degree in communication studies in 2003. And I then began working at UNLV, and I joined the UNLV Honors College from 2006 to 2011 as the director of advising for the Honors College. So I have lots of advising and human experience, and I joined the money industry in 2014 as a financial advisor. And here I am today as a full-time money coach. I own and operate my own company, Millennial Consulting LLC. I use this money personality with my clients to spark conversation and for my clients to have an awareness of how they can interact better with money. And that's what I hope for you tonight as well. So take a few minutes. There's 5 money personalities. You'll see the pictures at the top of the screen. Fully candid, I know there's some gentlemen on the call tonight. I coach to a primarily female audience, so that's why we have more of a female presence in my presentation, but this applies to men just as much as it applies to women, I promise. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in each of these areas. We've got the woman shopping, we've got the pennies up top, we've got the hearts, hands, the multicolored brain, and then the poof. You'll see here, what I want you to do is rate yourself and then total up where you score. So when I want something, I buy it. Score yourself 1 to 5, 1 being not true, 5 being yes, that's totally me. And let's see what your scores are. I'll give you a few minutes to complete the quiz. And feel free to, if you want to, share your scores in the chat. Otherwise, I'll talk about what they mean here throughout the presentation tonight. If you're just joining us, we're just starting out with a quick quiz. I do have a more in-depth quiz, but for the purpose of this talk tonight, this is a quick and easy way to check in and see where you might score. If you do want the more detailed quiz, I can send that to you, and I'll give you my email address at the end of the presentation, and you can take the more detailed quiz to see more in depth where you score on these different scales. This is my first time using WebEx, so I will do my best to monitor the chat and the screen, but I know our other host is monitoring the chat. So I'll ask of you, Nevena, as we have questions or thoughts, if you can share those with me, if you feel like it's a good place to share or interrupt the conversation so that I can do both. Any questions so far? All right, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. Give you just another minute or two to finish. Once you finish, you'll find out through the presentation what these pictures mean. Your highest score means that that's your most prevalent money personality. Your lowest score would be that's the one that you have the least characteristics of, given the way that you answered the quiz. So it should be enlightening, if nothing else, tonight, so you can start to see how you're different potentially from others. I'm going to go ahead and move on. And well, actually, I don't know. Navena, can you see everyone? Can you see the whole chat?
Yeah, I can see it. I don't see any questions or comments yet.
Okay, cool. So just give us an okay and let us know you're ready to go on. When we have the majority of you who said okay, that means we're good to go and I can continue with the presentation, but I want to make sure everybody can score themselves.
It looks like somebody just needs a couple more minutes.
You got it. That was my child that slammed the door, if you heard that. Coleman's good. That seems good. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, couple minutes, we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and shift. When, like I said, I will email this to you. You will get a recording of tonight's presentation, and I have a more in-depth quiz. If you really want to dig in and into the details of these different personalities, I'll give you that information as a follow-up tonight. So let's go to the next slide. Just a brief introduction as introduced. I am the best-selling author of a book called Girl, Get Your Shit Together. I was a financial advisor, like I said, for a private wealth management firm here in Las Vegas. I know that this journey with the graduate colleges, we have a financial advisory board with many people in the money industry giving advice and sharing their wisdom with you. Of all the things that I could talk about tonight when I was when the board asked me to present, this is just such a unique way of thinking about money. And being a behavioralist in my background, it really connects the dots on why you make the decisions that you make with your money, which then threads through the rest of your life. And so I can answer questions about money. I'd be happy to do so tonight at the end of the presentation, but I really can't think of anything more valuable thinking about relationship and communication and why we do the things that we do than this topic tonight as it relates to finances. So I don't know where you're at in your money journey, but what I do know is that no matter how much money someone has or doesn't have, there's always problems with money. Someone who's a millionaire doesn't mean they don't have problems with money. Maybe they have more problems with money. I have had the privilege of coaching and mentoring hundreds of people at this point in my career with all types of financial situations. So tonight's a good place to start in asking yourself, you're here for a reason, and I don't know that reason particularly, but my guess is that there is some challenge that you're having with your finances. Given COVID today, I've spoken with hundreds of professionals, business owners, and day-to-day people who everybody's faced with different challenges in their finances. So without being able to go into all of those details tonight, let's think about, and if you're comfortable sharing with one or two words, what are some challenges that you have today when it comes to your money? So if you feel comfortable, type in the chat and let me know. Sometimes I get the response of, I don't know what to do with my money, or I don't have enough, or I'm not investing and I know I should be. What is it that you're faced with today? Anybody want to share? Feel free to take yourself off mute. Like, I don't know you that I spend too little. Not having enough, Kathy says. Yep. Spending on materialistic items. Yep. finally have some and don't know what to do with it. That's a good problem to have, but it's still challenging and stressful. I have people call me all the time for that exact same thing. Child is coming soon, so that's a new stress. I'm thinking was the second piece of the chat. We're all dealing with something. That's the human side of money, and this is the talk tonight is looking at the human side of money, more on the behavioral economic side. Someone said, Nevena, what did the last chat say?
It says, after I pay bills, I end up spending everything extra, and when unexpected events happen, I max out my credit cards. Another one is rent is going up by a lot in the last few years in Las Vegas.
Yep, exactly. All different challenges, and they're all stressful and unique to you. So what you're going to walk away with tonight is you know this is one of my truths in my world, is that it's intertwined with every decision that you make every single day. You get that intellectually tonight. Hopefully you'll understand why you might be making those choices, why it may seem like you don't have enough, what are the behaviors and the beliefs that you have about money that could be getting in the way of you having the results that you want, and the other people in your life. Someone said you have a baby on the way. My guess is you also have a significant other who's sharing in that journey with you, and everybody has different ways of being when it comes to money. Divorce. I went through a divorce. A lot of it had to do with finances. If any of you have been through a divorce, money is a big conversation when it comes to couples and their success. And so this is going to add some new tools to your tool belt. Also, as much as some people don't want this to be true, it really is, especially in America today. I don't know anybody who would disagree with me about this. Maybe on more of an esoteric level, we could say, well, we can't escape it. But even in our death, even in our own death, someone is dealing with our relationship with money, with the choices that we make with our money. So that is one of my truths also. I'd like to hear from you. We heard some of the stresses, maybe some of the challenges that you're facing, but what's important about money to you? What are some of those things that you can share tonight? Mostly that hopefully you have a space where you hear you're not alone and other people are stressing about similar things. So in the chat, what's important about money to you? For me, it's about making sure I can pay for my children's education. Benjamin says sense of security, absolutely. Living a stable future, 100%. You made a choice. My guess is all of you are grad students. You made a choice to further your education, to further your careers, to also further development financially, hopefully, right? It's important for a lot of reasons, and that's why we're here tonight also. What are 3 words that describe how you feel about money? So take it at another level. What's stresses? What do you feel? Necessary evil? Yep. Gotta have it. Means to an end. Yes, definitely. What else? Anybody want to take a risk and share? Sometimes I get the words, it's a roller coaster. I feel stressed. I feel abundant or joyful. Who has that feeling? Maybe not. Lots of feelings when it comes to money. Oftentimes what happens in the absence of, access, happy, worry, happy and worry, toxic relationships. So there are good things and there are bad things. A lot of times what happens is that there are a lot of money experts out there. I'm sure you follow some of them or you've heard from some of them. And being a money expert, having been on CNBC, speaking to large audiences, is that we can give you a plan when it comes to money. We can tell you what to do when it comes to money. We can tell you how to budget your money. But what gets in the way sometimes, a lot of the times actually, is this, that you have certain feelings and emotions and beliefs and behaviors, and other people in your lives do too. And those things get in the way of being able to make decisions that you might make otherwise. So someone, I think, mentioned that it comes and goes. You're going to learn about one money personality that tends to rely more on emotions when making decisions financially. And that train wrecks their lives. That gets in the way of them, even though intellectually knowing that they should have different results, it gets in the way of them being able to do that. So it's really important. Our feelings when it comes to money are really, really important. One thing I know is that money is not rocket science, but I didn't always think that was the case. I didn't believe that was the case. I grew up in Las Vegas, hometown girl, and my dad was a stagehand. He's retired now. He was one of the pyrotechnic fathers of Siegfried and Roy. So that's my history here in Las Vegas. Brilliant guy. But as a blue-collared family, we grew up in an environment where there was never enough. Maybe some of you can relate. Conversations in my household revolved around what money we had and what money we didn't have. And when I wanted to do something, wanted to get involved in a sport, when I wanted to buy something for myself, get a car, go to UNLV, it was always around the money that we didn't have, what we couldn't afford. And because my parents never spoke with me about money, my only experience was my experiencing their relationship with money. They never sat down to explain to me what the stock market was. We never had high-level conversations about money in my household. My limiting belief was that money was rocket science, that it was hard. How many of you can relate to that? That it was challenging, that it was sophisticated. For anybody trying to take accounting, business accounting for the first time in undergraduate, you're like, what is this? It's a foreign language. And that's how I felt becoming a financial advisor, getting my licenses. The truth is, it just doesn't have to be the case. And the first thing is that when you understand and identify your own relationship with money, you stop fighting or trying to go against the grain. And in my world as a money coach, I advise people all day long on what to do with their money, but not until we're clear about who they are with their money first. So this is the first step that we use in my world to gain clarity on what's working and what's not working monetarily in their lives. And here's the equation. Beliefs plus behaviors equal results. Beliefs plus behaviors equal financial results, equal your bank account. Same background, Jennifer says. Can you expand on that, chat? What did she say? What did Jennifer say?
It says investing in long term was for rich people.
Yep. That was something that I inherited, that belief as well, that it wasn't for average people. And then I got thrown into my first job at UNLV in 2003. And the first thing we did was go to orientation. And then we had a conversation about 401ks, and I had no idea what they were talking about, but I had to sign up for something. Thankfully, I did. And I was able to save a ton of money in my 20s because of that, but I had no idea what I was doing with money. And I had to get experts in my world. And so I teach this in my world, that your own beliefs about money and your own behaviors with money interact all day long to create the results that you have or don't have. And if you believe that money is only for rich people, or if you believe that you have to work really hard for your money, that could be getting in the way of the results that you ultimately really want in your life. So let's talk about money beliefs. And it comes down to your money personality. So using that equation, beliefs plus behaviors equal bank account, what we're going to do then is dive into the different money personalities. There are 5 of them that I teach, and I adapted these money types from my coach, my mentor, Robin Crane, who is a certified financial planner. You'll find very similar kind of money personalities on Investopedia if you wanted to go and do some research on these. There are some psychological foundings to these different money types. I just don't go into that in this presentation for the sake of time and to keep it on the lighter side. So the first money personality is the picture on the quiz that was on the very left-hand side of the person holding the shopping bags, and that's what I call the shopaholic. Robin has this as the spendthrift money personality. Does anybody know what a spendthrift is? If you have a life insurance policy or a trust, potentially you know what this is. A spendthrift is someone, like there's a clause in life insurance, and so for wealthy families, uh-oh, did I lose you?
We can still hear you. We just can't see your picture.
Interesting. Can you see my presentation still?
Yes, and now you're back too.
Okay, weird. Okay, got it. So Benjamin, you're a shopaholic? This is no? Oh, you're back. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. So in life insurance policies, there's a spendthrift clause. And so if anybody has millions of dollars that they'll be gifting to family members, usually in their trust or their will or their insurance policies, they'll choose this clause. And what that means is that they know who the shopaholic or spendthrifts are in their family. And this is a person who's very abundant with money, but also money comes and goes very quickly. So this is a person where if they were going to inherit $1 million, that money would be spent overnight. A lot of times, actually, in the work that I do, the shopaholic personalities have very impulsive personalities. They are into instant gratification. Sometimes they'll throw money at problems rather than dealing with the actual problem at hand. Spendthrifts or shopaholics don't think through the consequences of their financial decisions, oftentimes resulting in debt. Making money typically isn't a problem for this money type, but it's the spending that will get in the way. So these are the couples or the individuals that make it into my world who have off balance spending habits where they may be spending more than they make. And they're the kind of person that will buy things before thinking through the consequence of buying those things. So it might result in tags in their closet of clothing that they never wore. And this applies to men and women. A good example of a client that I had over COVID is he was living on unemployment, and being in this money personality, we were working through how to slow himself down long enough to stop making choices that were harmful to him or not getting him into the direction he wanted to go financially. He called me one day and he was so ashamed that despite the fact that he was on unemployment, he bought a pair of $600 shoes. It's a very drastic example of what happens with the spendthrift money personality, but maybe you're thinking if it's you, how this is showing up in your own life, or it's someone else that you know and love, how it's showing up in theirs. So can anybody relate to this that took the test? Did you test high in that shopaholic category? Very impulsive, very in the moment with their money. So you got, yeah, that's pretty high, right? Which is why you explained that you have this love-hate toxic relationship with money. You love making it, you love bringing it in, but then you don't have any, and it puts you on this roller coaster financially. One thing for those of you who are shopaholics, I want you to keep in mind is that research suggests that while money can buy happiness, the quality of your spending is just as important as the quantity. That's one thing that you want to keep in mind for all money personalities, is that greater happiness is derived from experiential purchases rather than the actual material purchases. So as a shopaholic spendthrift, thinking about what you're doing with your money long enough to slow you down to think through the decision that you're making, remind yourself of this one statistic. That's 57% of respondents, and this is one of many studies that have been done on the psychology of spending, is that if you're making purchases out of materialists or out of quick, impulsive decisions, it's likely you're not actually making the happiest choice possible. People who spend their money on experiences, going on family vacations, making sure that your dollars quality experiences in your life will ultimately, I think, result in happier connection and relationship to your finances. So for those of you who are in the shopaholic spendthrift category, here's some things that will help you slow down in the moment and help you shift the behavior of spending too quickly so that you can get new financial results. One would be to think before you buy. It sounds easy, but it's not always that easy. One of the coaching that I give to my clients often is ask yourself, how does this add value to your life? How does this add value to my life before you make the purchase? Slow down and think through that before you actually buy. Second thing is buy things for return on investment. Focusing on return on investment will help you answer the question of, okay, if I buy this one thing right now, if I make this one decision right now, how will that continue to pay itself in dividends back into the value of my own life? Thinking through those purchases long term, and the next money type does this very well. will help you make your money work for you in the long run, in the big picture. Second is focus on acquiring valuable assets. By large, the women that I work with, this is the one area that they want to strengthen in their lives. So by understanding what is a valuable asset in your own life, like a home, what isn't a valuable asset, like a liability, something you're going into debt for that doesn't return on investment, a car really isn't a valuable asset. Cars depreciate in value over time. So making an investment in a car might be something that you slow down to think about before you follow through with that behavior. Give yourself time to do the research that you need to find whether or not this car is going to last you. Will help you make sure that you're getting a return on your investment. Something that shopaholics do not do very well is negotiate. And learning how to negotiate for salary, learning how to negotiate for purchases that you're making will also make sure that you're making your dollar work for you and not vice versa. Finally, this is what I teach in my world. I have a whole class on how to properly track your money. If you're anything like me, like I said, no one taught me how to manage my money. And it was only through the School of Hard Knocks, then ultimately becoming a money expert and becoming a financial advisor, did I really learn how to read money, how to learn how to talk about money. And it wasn't until I became a money coach that I learned how to properly track my money. So if that's something you're interested in, we can definitely talk about. Maybe come back for another workshop, let the graduate college know that that would be interesting for you, because sometimes it's the simplest of things that we never master that lay the groundwork for us to have the financial success that we ultimately want to have. So those are some good tips if that's where you score. Hopefully that's valuable. And what I'll do is I'll stop really quick to see if there's any questions about this money personality in particular. Just send us a chat. Also, let me know how that's valuable. Any ahas that you had. As I go through the next money types, I think you'll see the big distinctions among them and then be able to identify yourself what's working and what could not be working for you and the choices that you're making. That's the ultimate power in our finances, that we have clarity on why we're making the choices that we're making. Okay, no questions, so we're moving on. Be like Ellen. Ellen is not only a really savvy businesswoman in her entertainment world, but Ellen actually, what I didn't know until I did research for this presentation, is that Ellen has made over $150 million flipping homes. She's the ultimate spendthrift. So if any of you have seen her show or heard about what she does, she gives and gives and gives. She loves spending money on other people, but she's also learned how to make the money before she spends the money. And so she's a really great example of everything that could go right for this money personality. And she's not like every other money personality out there. She just highlights the strategic part of making money flow into her life, and flipping homes has been another way that she's building wealth, which I think is really savvy. The opposite money personality from the shopaholic personality is the penny pincher. How many of you scored high in this category? Which wouldn't be surprising given that we're in an intellectual community. So we've got the shopaholics and we've got penny pinchers who are on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to personal finance. T, another 21 for you. So what I'd have you do is go through, Jennifer, this is your highest. So this is going to make sense for you guys. What I would do is invite you to, when I give you my email me and I'll send you the more thorough test to see how those two flush out. So you've got beliefs and behaviors in both categories, but ultimately it's not usual that I have people that are in the same shopaholic and penny pincher categories. So we have a few of you here tonight who are the penny pinchers of the finance world. And what I'll say is that the finance industry, typically, the reason I talk about all of these different money personalities is that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to money. But you wouldn't think that knowing money experts, because money experts tend to be very analytical. They like to be very thorough in information. That's not everybody on the planet, but we have a lot of people in the money industry, money experts, who fit this money personality. So you might have a little giggle looking at this, thinking about the shopaholic personality and the penny pincher personality. The other way of thinking about this one, if any of you know Dave Ramsey or follow Dave Ramsey, he qualifies it as we've got the spenders of the world, we've got the savers of the world. So this money personality definitely fits in the more saving category. And here's how this shows up. You're afraid to invest, or you're afraid to take risk. Maybe you have which hopefully you'll have an opportunity to learn in this series about risk tolerance. Maybe you have worked with a financial advisor or heard a financial advisor talk about risk tolerance. Spenders tend to have a higher risk tolerance when it comes to their money. Penny pinchers, or our cheap non-spending friends, tend to take less risk. So if they take a risk tolerance test, they're gonna be lower on that risk tolerance test, mostly because they don't like to lose their money. How many of you resonate with that? You don't like to take risk. And if you do take risk, it's very calculated risk, and it takes time for you to make a decision because you're afraid of losing your money. You don't want to part with your money. So some people might be thinking about their family history, and it shows up that the richest person in your family is also the cheapest person in your family. I know in World War II era, that was definitely the case, or Depression era. My grandparents were very cheap. They didn't like to part with their money. They liked to buy things on value. Spending causes an anxious feeling, and potentially you could be researching and wasting time, essentially. Maybe you're spending too much time researching the different decisions, and then you never make a decision, and ultimately you lose out on opportunity that way too. So it's not all good to be in this category, although you will look at different choices and maybe make a more responsible choice, like driving a Camry over buying a BMW. Who would do that? How many of you have a Camry? That was me growing up. I chose to get a Camry. It was a sensible car, and we still drive Toyotas in my family because they're sensible, reliable cars. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes getting to a decision, if you're in this category, might feel a lot like this. So if you tend to, in academics, right, we have a lot of people who think thoroughly through different problem solving, through problem solving, and financially it could be the same thing. So you want to buy a boat. Well, the shopaholic or the spendthrift is going to go buy the boat. They're not going to think through it a whole lot before they do it necessarily. Totally opposite experience for the penny pincher, which is the non-spender of our money personalities, is that it's going to take a long time. You're going to ask a lot of questions before you ultimately get to your answer. Not a bad thing unless you confuse yourself along the way. And what happens with money, you guys, a lot of times is that you spend so much time researching and investigating and overthinking something, you confuse yourself, and then you don't make a decision at all. And that doesn't work either, right? Like you never buy anything. I think that might have been you at the beginning of the presentation, Jennifer. You're like, I don't spend anything ever. That's not healthy either, because how many of you work really, really hard for your money? Even if you're in graduate school and you're on a graduate assistantship or you have scholarship money, you worked hard for that, and you want to be able to enjoy life too. So these are, Warren Buffett is the quintessential penny pincher money personality. He buys things on value. He's learned over time how to invest his money and grow his money slowly over time. That's sensible. For a lot of people, that makes sense. But if it isn't your inherent money personality, it may not be very fun either. So he bought a house in Omaha. I think it was Omaha. Is that what it was? I didn't say where it was. I think it was in Omaha for $31,000 in 1958, which over time is now estimated to be over $500,000, and he still lives there, right? Another thing you may not know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, is that we have millionaires. These are some of the wealthiest people on the planet, and they're driving very sensible cars. This is very common in the penny pincher category. But you can imagine, maybe you're laughing, you're like, that's totally me. A lot of college professors, one of my best friends who was the dean of the honors college, drives a 1980s 4Runner. And it wasn't until he retired that he bought his dream car. So he, over time, was very steady and thorough with saving his money and investing his money. And finally, he got his dream car. Oh my gosh, by the time he was 65, okay? Good goals to have. Not every money personality is going to be like that. And if you're in relationship with someone who is not like you, there could be conflict. Can you see how there would be conflict for someone who is a shopper and someone who's a saver, and how you're not necessarily viewing things from the same perspective? That's really important. And maybe even you look around your lab or you look around your college environment and you'll see the different people that show up with these different personalities. So it's just really important to think about it. Thinking about college administration, having been in higher education. You made your last car last for 19 years, Jennifer. Like, that's so sensible, right? But that could also be a scarcity mindset, where maybe we just go out and make more money, and then eventually you can drive a newer car if you want one, if it makes sense. So we don't have to keep you in the poor mindset either. Not saying that that's where you come from, but sometimes in this money category, that's where it's coming from, is there's a poor poverty mindset that's keeping you holding back from getting something that you really want. Okay. I forgot where I was going with that, but you guys get the point, right? Can you see the differences between the two money personalities, the spender and the saver? Yes. Makes sense. Cool. So if you are in this money category, what I want you to do is tap in and think about why you're making the decisions that you're making. And if fear is driving the bus, we need to shift and rethink why you're making the financial decisions that you're making. And more importantly, you're going to need a lot of information. So if you aren't working with a money expert, if you don't have a financial advisor in your life, I know that's why the Graduate College put these series together, is to continue to help you level up in your financial knowledge. We need to make sure that you're not making decisions out of scarcity or fear, so that ultimately someday you can have the life that you want to live, because life is short too. Learn how to invest in yourself. Classic penny pincher move is to hoard cash. If that's you, you might giggle a little bit, or you know somebody who does that, but you've got a safe and you're hoarding cash, right? I had a client who was definitely a penny pincher, and she was sitting on over $120,000 cash in her safe. The truth is, the reality is, in the world of finance, some of you understand what, what's the word? Well, with investing, I don't know why I just had how I blanked on this, compound interest. So with compound interest is that you need to be investing money in order for it to be growing to outweigh interest and cost of living over time, inflation. You've got to be investing your money to beat inflation. Over time, we have something called the time value of money. Your money, if it's just sitting in cash, is actually going to lose value because of inflation over time if you're not investing it. $1 today is going to be worth less over the next 20 years. It's going to be less because of inflation. We know bread didn't cost the same as it does today 30 years ago. So learn how to invest in yourself. You're here in graduate school because you're investing in yourself one way or the other. Let's make sure your financial decisions match. Of course, get the best bang for your buck, but don't overanalyze it too much, because you might miss out on that great opportunity. Also, we want you to be living your life as much as you're saving for your future. Protect your money, don't hoard it. Seek security and find trustworthy people. A lot of people in this money personality category will be do-it-yourselfers. There's a FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. You'll want to do a lot of research on your own. But my advice to you is to find some financial professionals that you trust that can help guide you along the way. Okay. Very typical difference between these two categories is spenders will go onto Amazon, put something in their cart, and they'll buy it right away. So people that you work with will do this also if they're in the shopaholic. And you're like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? Why did you spend more than you needed to spend? A penny pincher on the opposite end of the spectrum is going to go onto an Amazon cart, put something in the cart, put 10 things in the cart, and let them sit there for a year before they buy them. Who can relate to that, right? You're going to miss out on an opportunity or something that you really want. So as much as you're tracking your money, as much as you're analyzing your money, let's make sure that you give yourself the freedom, Jennifer, to live and have some fun also. Okay. That's important just as much as saving is. Promise. Make sense? Hopefully this has been valuable so far and fun and enlightening. The third money personality that we have tonight is the bleeding heart. The bleeding heart tends to be a very generous personality. My mom's an over generous woman. She's the kind of woman when you walk into her home, and this is shaped by values, cultures. Some cultures are more giving, more generous than others. So thinking about your own background, we have some societies that are high context societies where people make decisions together, and low context societies like the United States where we are very independent. We value our independence and making decisions independently. So some cultures are going to gravitate more toward this bleeding heart money personality, a very generous money personality. How many of you just give me a yes while I'm speaking? Let me know if you scored in this category at all. So what you see, this is your highest T. Okay, good to know. 16, so pretty high. These are great qualities to have. And usually what happens when you score high in this category, Jennifer, it's your second highest, is that a lot of times what happens is that we focus out so much on other people. As a little sister, I have a twin brother and an older sister, and in my family, so going back to beliefs and behaviors, I grew up giving and taking care of my family. That was something that's just natural in me. No wonder I'm an advisor. No wonder I love helping people, right? But a lot of times you'll end up giving at your own expense. And financially, that can show up and be detrimental to you. So you want to make sure that you give, but that you have clarity on what you have to give. Learning how to track your money, learning how to watch your money, learning how to set financial goals and meet them for yourself and your future first, then give with clarity that you actually have clarity to give, will help you make sure that you can honor the giver inside of you and the generous person inside of you, but not lose track of your goals. Also, this person, this over generous person, a lot of times will not be making their worth. They give so much of their time for free. This happens professionally as well. I've had the privilege of not only sitting on nonprofit boards, but working at my time at UNLV, we see office culture and professional culture. I now teach executive MBA style courses to professionals in the community. And in our office culture, what happens is these overgenerous people, what do? They come early, they stay late. They give a lot of their time for free. They're not necessarily asking for anything in return. And financially, we might end up resentful of someone who would take advantage of that. Or we don't ask for the raise that we deserve. We don't go out and find the scholarships that we deserve. We don't go out and take risks on research that we feel like we would want. We let others go ahead of us, and that doesn't always work for us either. So you're focusing on others at your own expense. You may not be focused enough on your own future. You give time and resources away for free. Who can relate to that? I know for me, having an overgenerous heart, I can't keep cash in my wallet because it goes to the homeless person. So I don't keep cash in my wallet that I need for other things. Otherwise, I give it away to whoever. And sometimes you're not charging enough. You're not charging your worth. You're not asking for the raise that you need. And a lot of times you end up supporting a lot of family members. All great qualities, but let's be clear on why you're making those decisions so that you can not end up like this, right? This is maybe some of the fears that could be driving the behavior. Like I give so much of myself, I don't want to end up alone. And so I give. That could be a fear that you have, rather than getting clear on why you're giving and how that giving is also going to create balance in your own life. When I do this money personality talk, I do this in big workshops with many, many people, 40 or 50 people, and I'll break everyone out. It doesn't matter where I am in the country. When I do this, I break everybody out by their own money personality. And this money personality, I'll say, okay, go choose a car that represents who you are and choose an animal that represents who you are. And by every single time, this bleeding heart money personality in a group setting will choose a minivan or a big van because they need to make sure that they have room for all their kids. That drives your priorities. That drives your money personality choices. They choose animals like Labrador Doodles to as their mascot because they're so giving and so kind, and we all need those people in the world. We just want to make sure you're not damaging yourself. So remind yourself that money does matter. It really does. It matters to you. So if you're making what you're worth, if you're charging what you're worth as a business owner, if you're not overworking, you've got time for yourself, and then you can give more. Prioritizing your own financial choices gives you the ability to make more money so that you can give more and have a bigger impact. And a lot of people in this category want to have a big impact on the planet. They're in social sciences, anthropologists, they're in women's studies, they're in political science. They want to make a difference on the planet. We've got to make sure your money choices align with that. Try not to negotiate your prices, right? Collect money up front if you are a business owner. This is a presentation I give to a lot of business owners. Make sure you give and make sure you have clear boundaries on why you're giving so that people don't take advantage of you, no matter where you're at, professionally or otherwise. Be like Oprah. Attract people in your life who value and appreciate you. Oprah is a really great example of someone who's so generous, but so successful. She's got schools in Africa. She's giving scholarships to schools in the United States. You can give and give and give, but she's also learned how to prioritize her own fortune first. So there's balance in her life. That'd be someone that's a great example of a bleeding heart who's doing it right. Questions so far? I can see the chat now. Hopefully this has been valuable. So I'm just going to keep going in the interest of time since we've got about 10 minutes left. Maria, you have a question, go for it.
Oh, hi, can I just speak?
Go for it.
Okay, thanks. I joined a little late. I had a meeting. First, I want to say hi. I was one of your honors students way back in 2009.
Hi.
And just the way that you are presenting this, I don't know, I'm so proud to see that you went on to your goals. So thank you for this. So my question is, how about when you are sort of freelancing and a friend asks for your services and they are willing to pay you, they state they want to pay you, but you don't feel right charging them full price? What is an acceptable friend discount?
Yeah. Well, and I'm guessing you're speaking for yourself, right? Or just,
Yes.
yeah. And as a business owner, I encounter the same choices every single day. So as a business owner, a lot of times you want to give a friends and family discount, but you need to make sure first and foremost that your costs are covered. So that's the first thing, is having an awareness of what the costs of the project actually are, so that you're not discounting from the costs and what it costs you to deliver. You would be discounting, if anything, the profit that you'd be making from that project. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So with professional services, a lot of times we don't really know what the costs are because it's just our intellectual capital that we're offering or the design work that we're doing. But you had to invest a lot yourself in order to be able to offer those services. So looking at what you charge, make sure you give yourself the professional rate that comes back to you and your company. And I would say a 10 to 20% discount is more than reasonable as a thank you to them for coming to you for your services. Does that help?
Okay. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So 3 ways to price a service: your cost plus time plus materials. This is great, Benjamin. Thank you. What does the competition charge and what's it worth to the customer? So all great ways to think about discounting. I no longer discount my services. I'm not in a, I don't, at a certain point for myself, it's not fair to those who are paying my rates. And so no matter who I work with, I don't discount my services any longer. So that's another way to think about it. But those are great ideas, Benjamin. Thank you so much. Okay, speaking of business owners, Maria, thank you so much for jumping in there. Feel free, I can see the chat now, I figured that out. With the dreamer category, this is also someone, my Robin, who came up with the original quiz for this conversation tonight, is she calls this the delusional money type. I call it the dreamer. Every client that I have that's a business owner tests very high in this category. So thinking along the lines of the penny pincher who's not a risk taker, this dreamer money personality thinks big. They think big, they dream big. And a lot of business owners also have a lot of dreams and a lot of ideas. And if any of you are familiar with the DISC profile, this is someone who's up on the DI profile, someone who is a people person and talks a lot, has a lot of creativity. If your other personality quizzes that you're connected to, they're ones that think really high level and very creatively. Not bad qualities to have, but what ends up happening a lot of times when it comes to money personalities, and I'm sure you know people like this in your life, is they talk so much about what they're going to accomplish. They talk so much about what they're going to do. And in different professions, we have these people show up and they've got big dreams and then rolling everybody into their dreams. Oftentimes what happens though is they lack the follow through, and they don't end up accomplishing what they want to accomplish because they don't make analytical decisions. They don't follow through with decisions. They just take action. And financially, that can really damage our progress as professionals and otherwise, and business owners too. So here's what it looks like. Here's how it might show up financially for you. If this is your money personality, you don't take action or follow through. You talk a lot about what you're going to do, but you don't necessarily follow through with that. And if you're in a relationship with someone who's a dreamer, this can be very frustrating because you're like, what's the plan? And they don't have a plan, but they expect for it all to work out. You'll hear these people talk about how they can go make $1 million. So maybe think of a zany scientist who's got this big dream, not necessarily, but they have this big dream or goal, but they get distracted, right? How many of you have had somebody on your team where they get distracted by these new ideas that come in and you're trying to wrangle them in all the time so that they'll actually make progress toward a certain goal? They just know they're going to make it big. They talk about their success all the time, but again, they may not have the results. They may not follow through with the results. So I have some dreamer in me. I have to have a business. I think a lot of us have to have those risk-taking personalities to go out and make it happen. But I was raised by a penny pincher. So a lot of times I have conflicting ways of being where I want to go out and take risks. And then the penny pincher in me pulls me back and says, okay, hang on, wait, let's think through this first. And that's the academic in me too, right? Let's think through the decision before we make it. And let's put a plan together first. This is very painful if this is your natural way of being, but it's so, so important. Maybe some of you are laughing, thinking about someone in your life, or maybe this is you. I work with business owners who I say, yes, let's dream. But I, as a coach, I'm constantly shifting them back to what are the numbers? Let's track the numbers. Let's make sure the numbers make sense before you take action. Be like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a very successful dreamer. This is his castle. If you know anything about his research, he worked in a lab for years and years and years, making very little money, doing research on neurolinguistics, and eventually jumped out on his own. And he decided to buy a castle, and he's like, well, I better go make $1 million now. So as a dreamer, he would do something like that, but then he went and did it because he had the right team and the right support to make it happen, even though he had just made $30,000 the year before. So dream big, get a team, get experts around you, make sure you have the right plans and the right people supporting you as a dreamer. That's going to be really, really important. Grant Cardone, follow the 10X rule. Grant Cardone has made billions and billions of dollars. He talks about millionaire mindset. If this is you, start following people like Grant Cardone. He has made a fortune in learning how to leverage real estate. And now he goes and buys apartment complexes and big real estate transactions and coaches other people how to do the same thing. So if you're going to want the results in your life, you've got to be willing to take the action 10 times the action. For me as a business owner, I have failed many times. I'm very, very accustomed to failure, which is fine. And when I shifted into this rule and I got the right coach and I learned how to invest, I got the results finally. As a financial advisor, I was really struggling to make money. And it was because I didn't know how to take the right action to become successful. And as soon as I started following this rule and I got the right coaches to really coach me up and teach me how to do that, I made 6 figures in 10 months. So it's totally possible. It's totally possible. Have a plan, follow through. I teach that now to my business owner clients, how to put together a budget, how to follow a budget, how to put together a strategy, how to follow a strategy, and focus on return on investment. Ultimately, show your vulnerability. It's very hard for me to do that too, but it's really important so people will see that you're human and that you make mistakes and that you're worth following and that you're worth investing in. And that's really important if this is your money personality. Make sense? Return on investment is going to be a big thing for you to learn how to do. Your penny pincher friends who are analyzers can show you how to do the money math to figure it out. Find a good penny pincher, put them in your world, and make sure they stick around. I have many of them in my life to keep me grounded. And then I teach them how to take risks. Last money personality is the head in the clouds. If you tested high in this category, which is like that white poof in the quiz that we took at the beginning of the night, Maria, for joining us late, you can email me. I'll give you my email address at the end of the presentation. I'll send you the more thorough money personality test so you can see where you rate really. Head in the clouds, these are our avoider kind of money personalities. These are people who avoid conflict. These are people who like to look on the bright side of things. They don't like to share problems. They don't like to talk about problems. And what hurts you in this category, or if you're in a relationship with someone in this category, is it's a great thing to want to focus on the positive all of the time. But if you aren't having intentional conversations or you don't know your money, you're going to end up having bigger problems down the road. I have avoider clients who are high profile clients who are successful business owners. And because they don't like to look at their challenges, they end up in debt. That's a one result that might happen that they don't want. Even if they have the money to pay their bills, they don't. Because maybe they never learned or because they're afraid of what they'll find. In relationship, they don't have difficult conversations. So having my ex-husband as an avoider won't talk about difficult things, and that's very frustrating to be able to get the help that you need. So it's really important as an avoider that you are not blind to your problems, especially your money problems. They only get worse with time. An example of this is a couple that I work with who have not filed taxes in 5 years. They haven't filed taxes because maybe 1 year they missed, and then the second year they missed, and then it just started to pile up over time. And all of this isn't the most academic or scholarly conversation that we could be having tonight. It's so, so valuable because these are 5 money personalities that are out in the world every single day. Every single day. And there are legitimate reasons why you have your own fears when it comes to money. I just want to be the reason, like hopefully inspire you that we don't let those reasons stop us from getting the knowledge or information that we need. But maybe tonight you have an understanding better about why you might be where you're at, what your money personality is saying about who you are, so that we can help you take the right action when it comes to your money financially, and know that you don't have to fit into the box. You don't have to fit into the finance box. If you're not an analytical person, that's okay. That's okay. And an avoider doesn't necessarily know themselves very well, or they're just burying their head in the sand because they don't want to deal with it. And that's not healthy either. You avoid confrontation or dealing with problems. You might be ignoring things, not having important conversations about things. And over time, that will come back to bite you worse than potentially just dealing with the problem in the first place, okay? So I don't know if any of you are Ron Burgundy fans, but this just in, I'm awesome, right? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No problems in the world. But in the background, there's a pile of bills, or there's a pile of things that have piled up in your research lab that you don't want to deal with. Professionally speaking, it's not healthy either. And let's make sure that if you are an avoider in this money category, first and foremost, that you hire a mentor or you hire a coach. You learn how to lean into conflict. You learn how to take baby steps, tackle one thing at a time. If you have the opportunity to supervise people in your professional career, this is very valuable if you have someone in your professional world who is an avoider. acknowledge it, and help them take baby steps to get through the problem, whatever that problem is. Make appointments with yourself, follow through, set goals, and outsource. Outsource. Penny pinchers, you wouldn't do this naturally, but if you don't like cleaning your home, for example, once you get through grad school, once you start making enough money, outsource home cleaning. If it's not something you want to do, learn how to outsource those projects. Outsource, there are actual certified people who are bill payers. They're certified bill payers. They will take that on for you. They will pay your bills for you. They will help you stay organized. And that might be a great thing as you accumulate success in your life. Just outsource the things that you don't want to do. It will help you in the long run. Ultimately, have a happier life. Okay, that was a whirlwind of an hour, I know, and I'm just a few minutes over. So with that, what I'd like to hear from those of you that are still on with me this evening, has this been valuable? And if you can, just give me some brief feedback. Yes, thank you. I learned something. What was one thing that you learned tonight? Well done. It was, thank good. I'm so glad. Yeah, not typical of the finance conversation, but it's so, so important. So thank you for that feedback. To know your money personality is to know that there is not one size fits all approach to money. It might feel that way paying attention to the money industry and doing research about money, but it's truly the case. Everybody behaves differently in the world. Know who you are. Find systems that work for you so that we can amplify, shortcomings and strengths. That you can amplify your strengths and you can find your groove and communicate according to what your needs are. Yes, Maria, have a real conversation with yourself. Schedule a 15-minute call with me. I would love to support you with that. Thank you for ordering the book, T. That's awesome. And in conclusion, I'm just so grateful that you spent your Monday evening with me. There are many, many, many more topics that I can share. And as you're giving feedback to the graduate college, please let them know what piqued your interest tonight, other things you'd like to learn more about. And I would love to come back and share other tools in my toolkit. And I'm so, so grateful that you joined me tonight. I'm going to give you, this is my email address. Ask Lisa at lisachastain.com. You can email me. I can send you the quiz. You can email me any other questions that you have. And I look forward to seeing you at another workshop sometime in the future. Thank you so, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, Lisa. This was extremely informative and very insightful, I think, for all of us. I definitely learned more about my personality. I just want to thank all of our participants for joining us today to learn something new. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.